catch me balling like I'm in the end zone. I got my homies in the no new friend zone. You know, making plays that land us in the end zone. Coming in clutch, you can catch me in the end zone. End zone.
What is happening, people, and welcome back to In the End Zone UK, your home for all things NFL and much more. Now, first things first, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. Yes, it's been that long since we've been in your ears, but we took week 17 off. Consider it a bye week. NFL players are allowed one, so the End Zone UK team are also allowed one, so that we could enjoy Christmas and New Year, some family and friends time, and maybe chow down on one too many leftovers. But now we are back. And more importantly, the NFL regular season is over. That's it. Done, finished. And we now know playoff teams. We know who's going into January football. We know who the top 20 picks in the draft are. And all that remains is wild card, playoff, championship, Super Bowl football. So best time of year, really, if you're talking about high quality football. No more waiting to see who's going in. No more excuses. You win, you move on. You lose, you're done. So to talk about week 18, it was a rusty one to say the least, but also to talk about the season and the playoff picture, I have my In the End Zone UK crew with me today. First up, it's that Tennessee man, not riding into the playoffs, but still, Big Dave. Happy New Year. Welcome back on the poddy. How you doing?
Yeah, all good. Ready for playoffs. I'm glad the regular season's done, to be fair, which is a sad thing to say because it's not going to be around again for like another 9 months. But I just feel like it was the end. Cam Ward's got injured and he'd be out for weeks anyway. So it's a bit of a sad end, I guess, to the regular season. But focus on the playoffs without having to like worry about my team stinking the bed every week. So
sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, it's been obviously a difficult season for a Titans fan, but some really, really bright sparks in the last few weeks with Cam Ward until the injury this week. And as you say, as much as we don't want to lose football, the regular season this week did feel like it was really coming to a bit of a standstill, crawling its way into the playoffs. A lot of players being rested. So yeah, I'm with you, Dave. I'm looking forward to the playoffs, albeit not looking forward to the 9-month drought that we then get after the Super Bowl. But still, we also have, he's not been on the podcast for a week or so, but we've now got Lil Camo, Green Bay Packers, Cheesy McCheese. They're heading to the playoffs, whether it's by hook or by crook. But Happy New Year, Camo. Merry 2026. How you doing?
Howdy, gents. Yeah, no, all good. We are crawling backwards like a 3-legged donkey into these playoffs. So, yeah, you want to go in with some form. That's not what we're doing.
No.
But, you know, we're there. We're in it. They now become singular games. So this playoff football's just different. And it's exciting to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we've got. If you're in the mix, you're in the mix and you can do the dance. And I'm not sure how many Packers players can do the dance because you've got a heap of injuries, but you got a mini bye week this week because you rested all your starters. So, you know, that is a semi-good thing. And you can look forward to the playoffs and a massive playoff game, which we'll talk about a little bit later, divisional between the Packers and the Bears. So, guys, it's the new year, 2026. We have finished all of the regular season football. We're now moving forward, but we do still have week 18 to talk about. And this was a fairly big week for a handful of teams. You know, this week started on Saturday with games on Saturday and then went all the way through until Sunday night. All games being played, some games for playoff position, some games for actual playoff in and out, some for first round, first, second, third, fourth, fifth picks in the draft. So there was some stuff to talk about. I think the most important game and the one that was the biggest cliffhanger we are going to talk about now in our first segment, which is Game of the Week. And guys, we have voted Game of the Week to be the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Baltimore Ravens. And this was a game that kind of had everything. It was gritty, physical. It was ugly at times. There was some big deep shots and explosive touchdowns. And this was for a win and in position for either the Ravens and the Steelers. Win this game, you're in the playoffs. Don't know whether that's a good or bad thing for both these teams. I think it's obviously a bad thing because they've both scraped in to this position and then scraped into the playoffs. But it came down to a missed field goal ultimately in the end. Kick sailed wide, and just like that, the Ravens' season is over. They head to the off-season, and the Steelers punch their ticket into the playoffs. Obviously a brutal one to miss a kick. I think the kicker was crying. It was kind of a hard-fought game, I guess. It finished very tight, 24-26, and both teams played well and played badly in spurts. Kind of summed up, I think, the NFL season, really. Some great plays, some awful plays. But let's talk about this one. Let's talk about this 24-26 battle of the AFC North. Camo, I'm coming to you first. The Ravens, Steelers, obviously, it was an important one for them both, and it felt like neither of them really wanted to win it ultimately in the end.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that's where a lot of teams have been for a number of weeks now. No one can just put any good football on tape. I am very happy with the result. I've said it a number of times. I want to see Rodgers' last game to be a meaningful one.
Yeah.
A playoff one. I don't think they're going to go far at all. But yeah, to see Rodgers in the postseason is always a good thing. He's not obviously been there for a few seasons, so that's cool.
Yeah.
But this game was just all about the fourth quarter. Like, quarterbacks putting up points and yards and touchdowns. All four. Basically, the drama's come down to two kickers. Rodgers goes down. He throws that ball a hell of a way to an open receiver for a go-ahead touchdown with 55 seconds remaining in the fourth.
Yeah.
Good old, is it Boswell? Steps up, fucks it.
Yeah.
Ravens then obviously get the ball back with 55 seconds and only 2 points behind. So you think, shit, the drama, it's been set up perfectly there for that final drive.
The script was great.
It was good. Lamar leads them down. They get down there into field goal range. Boom, you think, okay, kick this, you're in.
44-yarder.
It's not even a long one. It's a rookie kicker, man. Obviously, they've gone from having Justin Tucker,
the best kicker in the NFL.
He might be a toucher, but he can kick a ball. Yeah.
At the time, he was the best kicker in the NFL.
Rookie steps up, just fucking shanks it. And yeah, obviously, fans went wild. Rodgers on the sideline. You're expecting to go home at that point, right? With a 44-yarder, you're not expecting it really to be missed.
Probably.
But yeah, I mean, drama filled.
Yeah.
I think we said it early in the season. For me, the Steelers needed to see out this division because of all of the injuries to other main star quarterbacks. They had those games in hand to get the lead and to maintain it. So I'm glad to see they've done it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't feel positive going into the playoffs.
No, they're
not going in with any momentum or anything. But they do have Rodgers who, in a singular moment, could do something.
Sure. And obviously being a cheesy Packer, it maybe is a nice fitting.
That's
moment.
I always said I wanted Rodgers in the postseason, and it's what we've got.
Yeah.
So
nice.
I'm happy with that.
Okay, Camo. Big Dave. This wasn't a particularly bad game for both quarterbacks. Lamar threw for 3 touchdowns in 1 interception. Rodgers threw for 300 yards, was pretty clean with the ball. What did you make of this, Dave?
Yeah, very similar to, I guess, how Cam saw it. I think Lamar Jackson's stats are massively padded from them two one massively busted coverage and the other one should have been a sack, but he managed to weasel his way through it like a greased weasel shooting up a drain pipe and just launch it downfield. He completed 11 passes for 238 yards. That just tells you something. Yeah, the Steelers, I mean, they're obviously going to get DK Metcalf back, aren't they, for the playoffs? So he obviously wasn't playing in this. Kenneth Gainwell, Jaylen Warren, apparently he's untackleable. I would have preferred to see the Ravens get in because I think I like them a little bit more. They've got Derrick Henry, and it'd be nice to see. I'd love to see Derrick Henry win a ring, whether it's on the Steelers, there's not one person that would be bothered about winning a ring. But they strike me as a team that's gonna, I don't know, they just strike me as a team that's going to do something in the playoffs.
Right.
Like they're the kind of team that beat the Texans.
Right.
I don't know how.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
They strike me as a team
Yeah.
that could beat the Texans. You know,
I know what you mean.
When
their
their
day.
defense is on, it's on, and it getting TJ Watt back was massive for them. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. The game didn't have anything, did it? Till the fourth quarter, it was boring. You know, and these kickers. You know, my missus messaged me before and said she just watched the highlights and felt sorry for the kicker. I was like, I fucking don't.
No,
44 yards. When you've got that dude
yarder.
in for the Jags nailing 67-yarders and hitting the net when he's doing it, clearing the bar by 10 yards. You're telling me you can't. You're telling me one Boswell, and he was awful last week. Boswell as well against the Browns. Was it last week?
Yeah,
where he missed like 3 field goals. Then
which is wild because he's been automatic all season. I only know that because I had him in fantasy. But
apparently it's that stadium, the Cleveland Stadium.
Right.
I mean, he can't kick field goals there, but he can't kick extra points apparently.
That could have been a travesty, you know, like that could have been an absolute travesty. Obviously, there's one thing missing a 44-yarder, but there's one thing missing a PAT to keep it
an extra point
competitive.
With a field goal, you don't know where it's going to be lined up, do you? Until you step up and kick it, you don't know where it's going to be lined up. A PAT doesn't change. It's the same for every kicker. You know, to miss them is unexcusable. And when it's not like, who played in the downpour this week? Oh no, it was a college game. Was it?
The Bucks Panthers was pretty wet.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking about. Yeah, the Bucks Panthers. It's not like it was that weather, was it?
No,
it was just a little bit windy.
Yeah, it was all right.
You know, you can't
for sure.
I mean, rookie or no rookie, like you can't miss 44, especially when you are replacing Justin Tucker. No, probably like you say at the time, the most accurate kicker, had the record.
Literally season-defining kick.
Yeah.
You know what? There's that guy now. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way of bouncing back from that because your season is done.
Yeah.
Oswald can go on and make kicks, and people forget, you know. But when your season's done, you've got the entire, and as a rookie, you've got the entire off season to think about that.
Yeah,
I was going to slap the kickers from this game had it not been the game of the week. And I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about kickers, saying that like most NFL players actually don't like the kickers because while they're doing hard training sessions, running around getting thrashed, the kickers are over there just swinging the legs, not even really kicking balls. They're like practicing the snap and stuff like that.
Yeah,
he said so. There's not a lot of sympathy for them.
No. They shouldn't be either, really. I know it's a very technical thing to do and a hard thing to do, I'm sure. But yeah, I think you know, ultimately you can practice and rehearse particular scenarios over and over. It's not even like in rugby where you line up, you know, sideways to the post, you know, depending on where you score. You're always either left hash, right hash, or centre, and that's it. Like there can only be so many variables. You could literally kick a 10-yard, 15-yard, 20-yard, 30-yard, 40-yard, all the way up to, dare I say, 70 yards across 3 hashes over and over and over and over until you know exactly what you need to do. Probably simplifying it here, but way less variables than any play calling, defensive schemes, offensive schemes. Like just do it. You know, like it is poor, and this game sort of sums up, I feel like, this season. You know, a fourth quarter showdown. So many of those we've had happen this season, where the fourth quarter is where the explosion happens. Both teams, all teams being super reserved, playing sort of like chess until the fourth, until you kind of have to go for it. It's a little bit like when me and you play Madden, Dave. Don't dare to do too much until you have to. But yeah, it just feels like that, and it just comes down to a kick. You know, ultimately a last minute 50-second drive that then needs a kick to win it. We've had so many of them this year. I don't know whether we've had so many of those in years past. I'm sure we have, but this year feels very, very fourth quarter kicker reliant, and yeah, I don't know if I like it or not. Certainly didn't really like it in this game. You know, you want the teams to put on a show. But yeah, I mean, look, 26 to the Steelers, 24 to the Ravens. I think this is a travesty. I think the Ravens team, whilst having had injuries, has got so much. I'll get to talking about it later, but the Steelers go into the playoffs anyway, obviously, and as you say, Dave, they are one to watch. They've got a savvy veteran quarterback. They've got an elite defense when it decides to turn up. And their offense, it's a bit of a bully offense, isn't it? They just try to pound the ball over and over with Gainwell and Warren and just pound and pound and pound. Boring, but it does open things up. So that's our game of the week. And we'll move on to our favourite segment, our final regular season ending edition of Slap or Sign. Same rules as always. 2 players from the AFC, 2 players from the NFC. You slap somebody who's had a very bad time and you sign somebody who's been amazing. So, to kick us off, Dave, let's head to the AFC. And who are you slapping first in the AFC?
I am slapping Joe Shiesty, Joe Cool, Joe Ice, Bucket Challenge, Joe Burrow. Yeah. What a season for this wiener. This is going to be like a bit of a season / this game, because they did lose to the Browns. They lost 18-20 against the Browns, who had a quarterback who threw 411 yards. Joe Burrow threw for 236, 3 touchdowns. They lost the game 2018. There's no excuse. They're 6-11. That's only slightly better than the Titans, who have got nobody on their team. These have got 2 all-world wide receivers, and the guys still can't win games. You know, they've just said they're retaining their head coach and GM as well. So,
which is hilarious.
What actually changes? You know, they've missed the playoffs, the last 3 years? Last 3 seasons?
Yeah.
So he's been in the league, 5 years, 6 years?
Yeah.
So they missed it his first year. He went to the Super Bowl his second year.
I think.
Have they been back since? Cam? Anyone know?
I
think
so.
they've been in the playoff. I think they've been in the playoffs once since, because they got bounced by. I think they got bounced by the Chiefs.
Yeah,
but it's poor for a number 1 pick, and as you say, 2 what would be unbelievable number 1 wide receivers on any team.
Yeah, and they did try to build the offensive line around him, didn't they? When they went and got like Orlando Brown and people like that. But at some point, he needs to take some accountability. 1, for his injuries, and then 2, for like 18 points against the Browns. The Titans beat the Browns. Are you telling me you can't beat the Browns? 111 of 22, Shedeur Sanders was. 50% for 111 yards. And he won the game. He had a running back. The most rushing yards they had was 32. The most receiving yards, 23. And they beat the Bengals.
They just don't have a winning formula, do they? And Joe Burrow can't put a team on his back.
Because you can't even say it's the defense. They gave up a touchdown. Well, I mean, you guess you can when it looks like this. They give a touchdown in the first quarter, a touchdown in the second, field goal in the third, field goal in the fourth.
It's not horrendous.
And what did I can't even remember. Did they go for 2 on every single play? Why have they not scored a extra point?
It must have done. I can't remember. But you're absolutely right, Dave. Absolutely right. Like,
no, Evan McPherson missed 2 extra points. Points.
Yeah, we just literally just spoke about that, didn't we?
This baffles me.
Literally,
but
just spoke
ultimately,
about that.
yeah, it's regardless. Joe Burrow is meant to be this superstar. They probably had got the best. He came from the best sort of like college team ever offensively when he was at LSU with Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. He got Jamar Chase with him in the Bengals, and they're still not winning. It's whether it's a coaching thing or not. Like, I don't know who said he looks checked out, but he also looked like he gave Myles Garrett that last sack as well. He just collapsed on the floor in front of him. Yeah, I don't know. To finish 6-11 when you're Joe Burrow and you've got you've got T. Higgins and you've got Jamar Chase, it's a joke. It is a joke.
It is. And if you're talking about this as more a holistic season piece, his attitude, his interviews, his whiny bitchiness has just added to, for me, a dislike for him as a player. Like, I did think he was a good, solid pocket passer. Camo, you've said it, that you'd want Joe Burrow ahead of most quarterbacks in the league up until, quite recently, because he is that true pocket passer. But he hasn't got the resilience. He blames his offensive line. He sticks his bottom lip out when things are going wrong. And it's just wild. I think it's wild, Dave, that they are and have already made the decision to keep their head coach. What's the point? They've not won anything. They've not won anything with what the league believes to be a world-beating ultra superstar quarterback and the same as a receiver. And they've tried to build the offensive line around him. They've spent money on it. They've drafted high. And you can only point fingers for so long. If he doesn't have the escapability, if he doesn't make smart decisions and not take the sacks that ultimately end up injuring him, it's on him. It's on him. So, yeah, I totally understand. You know, we got some Bengals fans that listen to the podcast. I'm sure they'll be super frustrated with a 6 win and then to lose your final game to the Browns and only put 18 points up and let the Browns beat you with a very poor performance on their side just seals the deal. I would have thought that would have been the trigger to get rid of the coach. Just like, you know, okay, last game of the season, go out, let's show what we can do. Oh, wait, we lose to the stinky Browns because they are stinky. Cool. Love it, Dave. Appreciate it. Agree with it. Camo, AFC, slapping. Where are you headed?
I'm going to Las Vegas.
Viva Las Vegas.
Viva Las Vegas.
Beat me by 3 milliseconds for that.
Did I?
And Las Vegas, they are on the clock. They have the number 1 pick. Nice. They won the last game of the season.
Against the Chiefs.
Again, yeah. I mean, yeah, the Chiefs have not got much to cheer about right now. But I'm slapping Petus, the no-job Carroll, because the man came in out of retirement, put together a bunch of shit, stunk up the league, secured the number 1 pick, and is out the door again.
He has been fired, yeah.
Any single person can do that. Any single person could go into a league, can go into a job, be the worst at it, and get fired within 1 year. What did he bring to that team? All he brought to that team was a washed-up shit quarterback that they're now stuck with.
OAP Seahawks is what he brought in. He brought in a legacy Seahawks.
Shambolic. The man is 90 years old and just stop. So bad. I mean, the Raiders as an organization, terrible. I can't wait to see how many things is. Oh, who's Tom Brady going to pick at the next blah, blah, blah. The Raiders for so long have sucked. They finished the season 3-14. And yeah, absolutely abysmal. And I say, they won their last game of the season, still had the number 1 pick. And yeah, all round from last year's draft, last year's free agency, the hiring of Pete Carroll, not a single bit of it has worked.
No.
And I feel sorry for Raiders fans. They pay an absolute extortionate amount of money for tickets in that stadium. They watch a pile of shit football. Yeah. All round sucks, man. And Pete Carroll, I hope he does not embrace anything to do with football moving forward.
No, I think that's probably him done now. Like being fired from a position is, especially when you are about 80 years old, the oldest coach in the league, is probably you out the door and done. Yeah, couldn't agree more. And obviously, just from my side, seeing a bunch of these players walk away from Seattle last season. Geno Smith, we traded, we got a 3rd round pick for him that we ultimately ended up packaging and getting Nick Emenwari, which is wild. And then bringing in like Tyler Lockett off waivers because he got cut by the Titans, bringing in a few players that had already played, like Jamal Adams. Like, what are you doing? Pete Carroll was basically having like a rebuild last hurrah of a bunch of his mates. I'm surprised Russell Wilson didn't end up there at one point because that would have been the icing on the cake. But yeah, they suck, mate. And to have the number 1 pick, as you say, anybody could have ended the Raiders up in this position. I think that's a great way of looking at it. They did nothing. They are bottom of the barrel, worst team in the NFL statistically. And so, yeah, they've got the number 1 pick. What do they do with it? We'll talk about that on a later podcast. But Lord knows they need a quarterback, but they're stuck with Geno in a guaranteed agreement for 3 years. That's what they had to do. They had to put that on the table to get him away from Seattle. So he's going to be there. What do you do? What do you do, Dave? Just to well, we will talk about it in depth, but right now, do you draft a quarterback and bench Gino, or play Gino, bench the quarterback and let him sit?
You draft a quarterback. If you're the number one, I mean, speaking from experience, if you're the number one pick, there's a reason for it. They need to draft a quarterback. I don't even know if that'll save them, but you've got to start somewhere. They've got to bring in. They tried the Pete thing. They tried bringing the old vets in, similar to like, I guess, how Washington when they bought all them old goats in, but they still a young mobile quarterback, not Gino, who's been awful.
Turnover machine.
I just think that they're a team like the Titans. They've got so many holes to fill, and you don't get the number one pick that often. So I think it's if you're going to be in it, you might as well try and draft a quarterback and restart.
I agree. They could actually finish this season or start the draft with a whole haul of picks, because there's a little rumor out there at the moment that Max Crosby also might be available this season for the first time ever, because he said that he wants to die a Raider, but apparently anyway. We said this about a number of players, certainly Micah Parsons. At the moment, I can't see them trading him. But at the same time, if you're the Raiders and you have the number one pick because you're so crap, if you can go out there and he's worth 2, isn't he? He's worth 2 first-round picks. He's 30 years old, very similar sort of impact to Micah Parsons, except he's older. So he's probably worth 2, would you say? Or one and a second or something like that?
Yeah, it's just because he's a little bit old. Is he really 30? I didn't think he was that old.
He is. I think he is anyway. Could be wrong. If he's younger, then maybe not. Hold on. We shall find out. Max Crosby is... Oh, I'm telling lies. He's 28. He'll be 20. Yeah. He'll be 29. He'll be 29 when the new season starts. So
I think that
got
gives
a bit more value in there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd trade for him.
100%. I think most teams would. If you know you're going to get that kind of caliber motor plays, he makes a difference on every single snap. So yeah, I mean, there might be some teams out there who want a pass rush, know they're probably not going to get one at the top end of the draft, and maybe go and package something to get him. I mean, I'd be
I think if you're like that Ruben Bain that's at Miami, if you're thinking about drafting him, would you not trade that pick and get Max Crosby, knowing exactly what you get from Max Crosby?
Personally, I guess it depends on your team, doesn't it? It depends on how much cap space you've got and what your quarterback situation's like, because he's commanding mega cheds. But yes, if you've got the money, then yes, you make that happen because you know what you're getting. And he's a unique one-of-one player, I think, like second to Garrett.
Yeah, he's certainly up there in the upper echelon of, and he's a passionate dude. Do you know what I mean? So like, he's one of the players that you pay money to, and his motor don't stop. He ain't motivated by money. He just wants to rip someone's face off.
Yeah,
I love him at Tennessee. I think he's a high energy guy, and I think him and Simmons would be a great pairing because they're both just aggressive, horrible people.
He'll be one to watch in the off season, I'm sure. I reckon he could be on the move. Nice one, Camo. That is Pete the Meat from the Raiders fired. And there's many coaches being fired literally as we're speaking right now, which I'm sure we'll get to a few of them. My AFC slap, we've kind of covered it, so I guess I can just be nice and quick. All right. So my AFC slap is going to John Harbaugh, and I know that we don't normally slap or sign people from the game of the week, but I just want to jump on the back of that and say the Ravens not making the playoffs is a total travesty. The players that they have in their squad, and I know Lamar's been injured for a few games, but irrespective of that, take Lamar out the equation. You've got Derrick Henry, who carried a franchise on his own for about 10 years in Tennessee. You've got DeAndre Hopkins, Zay Flowers. You've got one of the best tight ends in the league in Mark Andrews, and a very, very good second in Isaiah Likely. You've got a relatively decent offensive line. And then on defense, you've got Roquan Smith, you've got Humphreys, you've got who's the unbelievable safety?
Kyle
Hamilton, who's unreal. You've got superstars in so many positions, and yet here you are being bounced from the playoffs by Aaron Rodgers, a 40-something-year-old Aaron Rodgers. I think it's awful. I think the Ravens have just choked year on year on year, and John Harbaugh's been given a pass because he makes them relevant. He gets them there or thereabouts. But it's the same principle as it's even kind of worse or better, however you want to look at it, as the Bengals or as the Niners. What do you want? What is the aim of an NFL season? To win the Super Bowl. if you get really close and miss, you're just doing yourself a disservice. And I know that it's, good football is being played and whatever, and you've got an MVP and you win all these individual accolades, but ultimately you're failing the franchise. And I think it's really hard, or not hard, but I just think it's really unforgivable to be playing with an MVP, multiple MVP caliber quarterback and a very strong other, supporting cast, and to not even make the playoffs. I don't know if it's just me or whatever, but I would be getting rid of him if I was the Ravens. His time there is over, I think. Not in the NFL, but
I think they should both go. I think even if they win the Super Bowl, I think the Steelers should get rid of Tomlin as well.
Right.
Because I think if they do win the Super Bowl, it'll be because they're in it with a chance to win it. If you know what I mean, they've not looked like a team where you go. Look at the Rams, look at the Seahawks. You look at the Texans, whoever. They're a team that could win a Super Bowl. They've got a great defense. They've played well all year. And then you've got the Steelers, who are just kind of like essentially the Panthers. Do you know what I mean? They're the Panthers of the AFC. They've kind of like snuck into the playoffs and they don't really deserve to be there.
Yeah.
Both teams, I think, could do with a reset. Like we were talking about this the other day when I was on about coaches. I think when you're in Harbaugh's position, where you've come from a special teams background, you're not the offensive coordinator, you're not the defensive coordinator, you're just the head coach. The issue you've got is when your coordinators are good, they get snapped up. So you're having to constantly reinvent your team, bring in new people in, and eventually you can't get the right person in. Look at the Lions. They're another team that's just had a bit of a stinky year because you can have the most motivating guy all you want, but if your play calls are crap on offense and defense, you don't win games.
No.
I just think the Ravens are far too talented to be the 14th pick in the draft.
Way too talented.
And Pittsburgh, I know the Steelers they've only had 3 head coaches in their entire time. And he has won a Super Bowl, and with Big Ben.
Do you think that plays a part in it? Do you think it's like, oh well, we've only had 3 ever, we stick with our guys? Do you think that's bought him a few years, or do you think it's actually been worthwhile having him till this point?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're 10-7. He's never had a losing season. You know what I mean? Like, who wouldn't want that? Like, your franchise is always stable. I guess all you're looking for when you're in that position is the 1% to just make your team just that 1% better every year.
Yeah.
And like I said, they're in the play. All these teams that I mentioned, the Panthers are 8-9. They've got a losing record. They're in the playoffs. They could win the Super Bowl. They could literally catch a bit of fire and just run the whole table and win the Super Bowl. There's nothing to stop that happening apart from all these teams. The same with the Packers. The Packers are on a 4-game losing. Like they've lost 4 games.
Oh, we've been awful.
Yet. I mean, you take the last game out because they didn't play anybody, did they? They basically beat quarterback. But there's a chance. You've got a chance to win it. The Giants have won it twice.
It's that lottery ticket, isn't it?
Yeah.
8-8.
You've got to be in it to win it. How many teams that get them bye weeks and don't win? Because they're not as like
catch a bit of momentum.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, bit of a tangent, but I think they should both clear house, and I think that Tomlin should come to the Titans.
There was a segue in there. Okay, nice. AFC slaps, now AFC signs. Dave, back to you for your sign, please.
I'm signing the Patriots running backs. Because
multiple.
Yeah. They've just got the right. It's obviously to do with their offensive line and their play calling and stuff. I get it. Vrabel obviously loves running the ball. They've got Josh McDaniel there, and there is their offensive coordinator. He's obviously a great, not necessarily a good head coach, but a great play caller. Stevenson and Henderson are both unbelievable. They're very similar, so they're not necessarily like Gibbs Montgomery. Yeah. They're very, very sort of similar running backs, and I think that kind of works in their favour because you don't really know. Well, you kind of know every play what you're going to get from them. They're going to hit a hole and go, and you can just keep rotating them through. And last week it was Henderson won it. This week it's Stevenson. 7 carries, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns. Trayvon Henderson, 13 carries, 53 yards, 2 touchdowns. they've got as we were talking about before, they've got the magic at the minute. They're Patriots. I know they dumped on the Dolphins, who aren't particularly great. They've been starting that Quinn Ewers, haven't they, at quarterback, who seems to be as retarded as they come, although less retarded than Tua. I don't know if that's a promising thing or not. But the Patriots, obviously, they've been on fire all year, haven't they?
They have. It'll be an interesting position to see them in the playoffs, because they'll be playing top quality, top flight teams.
Ironically, I've just seen it was the MVP talk between, like, the comparison between Drake May and Stafford, and I didn't know that was it the Browns that have got, I can't remember who it was. There's a team, it's like the Browns, that have got more wins over like plus 500 teams than the Patriots. They've only beat one team that's got a positive record.
Oh, their whole schedule has been a joke.
Yeah, he's and against them teams, Drake May's like 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and Matt Stafford's played like 8 of them, and he's 20-1.
Yeah,
it definitely shows that the Patriots are better. But that's what happens, when you're the worst team or the second to worst team in that division, you play them second to worst teams in all the other.
That's why every year there's been a team that's gone from last.
Yeah, there's been multiple this year, isn't there? You think about the teams that are sort of in the playoffs now, like Denver, New England, Jacksonville, the Bears.
Definitely favourable. Favourable matchups, no doubt.
Yeah. And it just shows, doesn't it? You get the right people in place, things click, and you're playing a bunch of bottom feeders all year, and you're in the playoffs.
With higher draft picks that you've just bought in, and
yeah. They're doing good things though. Like you say, Dave, with the running backs, just keeping Drake May safe, being able to just cycle in 2 players that can basically do the same thing. They're always fit, they're always healthy, they've always got gas, and it might not be the Montgomery Gibbs scenario where you need a hammer and I don't know what the other one is, a nail. But there's within this team there's a balance, and I think that's helping Drake May massively. And they can just call plays, rely on the playbook, not have to worry about who they've got in there. And the running game does and has all season for the Patriots took a shitload of pressure off Drake May, because they've ran the ball so well, and they've got a great offensive line, and they've built that purposefully, I think, through obviously first pick of the draft last year and Vrabel getting involved. It's good stuff. They're going to be a tough team to beat in the playoffs. There's no two ways about it. Even though they've had a bottom feeding schedule, they are going to be a tough team to beat, because they basically play fundamental football with few mistakes, which is, again, hard to beat. So, yeah, I like that sign. Like it a lot. Camo, where are you going? AFC signage?
I'm going to sign Trevor Lawrence, the Jags, whatever you want to call it, because they won that division, which I did not see coming start of the year. They're on an 8-game win streak. Trevor Lawrence is playing his best football, I think, since coming out of college.
He is playing his best football, yeah. And
I think this is the best record they've ever had.
Right.
So do you know what?
13-4. It's a good record.
It's a damn good record. And fair play to him, because we've given him stick a number of times, but they're doing something right now. They've managed to putting together 8 wins in a row is you're doing something right. So all the credit to him. Well done. He's taking off his feet a lot more.
Yeah.
And he's making just better decisions. Yes, he's got his wide receivers are learning to catch the ball again, which obviously helps. But all in, Trevor Lawrence and the Jags are deserved winners of that division. And considering, that division, it was wild this season. If all you got to do is talk about the Colts.
Yeah. And
they started the season 8-1, 7-1, and then went 1-9. Like
they were the steamroller, and then
what is not? We've said it numerous times throughout this year. Is he's the MVP right now. He's the MVP right now. We 100% said it about Jonathan Taylor. 100% said it about Baker Mayfield. Neither of them are in the playoffs. Insane what sort of transpired at the late course of this season. But you want to be going into the playoffs with momentum, and you can't be doing much more than what Trevor Lawrence is doing right now. So, absolutely credit to him, and well-deserved. Nice to see some different teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And you make a good point there, Cam, in the fact that as much as the regular season seems short, it's actually not. And the narrative through the course of the season can change massively. And it has done, because the Jags started off really, really poor. You know, they were scraping some wins and playing awful football, like terrible, but managing to somehow win, like the game against the Bengals and a few others that I remember, Chiefs. But they won, you know, and fair play. I mean, I'm not getting on the Trevor Lawrence hype, so to speak. This week actually annoyed me, and I'm sure it annoyed Dave much, much more. But, you know, they put 41 points up on a beat up, bad, no reason to play too hard Titans team, with Cam Ward getting injured in the first few minutes. And I wanted to see what Cam Ward had with the sort of gloves off, just no holds barred, playing for nothing, you know. And then Trevor Lawrence lesbos his way in and throws multiple touchdowns, and it just felt like they were sort of playing with their food a little bit. And that's no disrespect to the Titans, Dave. That's more just about how that game sort of ended up being, because it was never going to be competitive without Ward. And so it just sort of felt like, and I feel like Trevor Lawrence has felt a little bit like that in games so far. He's definitely playing his best football, but he has got a lot of sticker offers this year, and it's because he hasn't been, you know, amazing. Since the bye week, he's been pretty good. But that rings a bell. I feel like he's done that before. I feel like last season, once he'd been to the UK and then came back, he was a bit better. Takes some time to warm up. But yeah, fair play. I like not taking it away from the Jags. They've got a great defense. That Jacoby Myers signing in the offseason or in the trade window was massive for them, because he's been that sure pair of hands, just like that reliable route running receiver that they need to be able to just move the chains. That was a huge signing for them. Underrated massively. And they've extended him as well, haven't they? So they're obviously liking what they see. But yeah, fair play to the Jags. They're in the mix. They've, you know, they absolutely could find their way to the deep ends of the playoffs, because they've beaten some big teams just kind of in an unorthodox way. Any more about the old lesbionist, Dave?
No, I can't stand it. He's obviously been great this season. I was surprised how long he actually stayed in the game against us, because they went 3 and out on the first drive. We drove down, scored a touchdown, then Cam Ward got injured, running the touchdown in, and then our offense just completely, obviously, dissolved, because Brandon Allen is a retard at best. He's awful. Like, and this is, I mean, I think we messaged him about it, saying that there is no bigger proof of needing a solid, reliable backup quarterback than that. You know,
when somebody comes in and does that, you like, what can you do?
What would we play him for anyway? You know, it mattered not to us. Like I said, I've sat and watched some abysmal performances from my teams over the years, but I turned this game off because I didn't want to see Brandon Allen play. Like, he just never before, I don't think, as a quarterback come in and like played, and I've just been like, I just don't want to watch it because he's so bad. Like how he's paid as an NFL quarterback is baffling to me. He's awful. But the Jags, one thing I'll say about the Jags team, they're so soft. They are the closest team I've seen quite a few times now. They're the closest team to a soccer team in the NFL. Everything is like looking at the refs, moaning, Trevor Lawrence is a baby. They're just a real soft team.
I've noticed that too. Maybe it's because they're the UK team.
Yeah, well, maybe, yeah. They flop all the time, like on the sidelines trying to get flags. It's so annoying to watch. But in turn, I mean, again, they've turned it. They've completely turned the ship around. You know, that Liam Cohen, I don't think anybody gave him. People were probably saying what, like the same as that Dave Canales at the Panthers. They were probably like, what, like, who are these people? Why have they got these head coaches? And they've shown it. You know, they've completely turned them teams around. You know, I give him way more credit than Trevor Lawrence, because Trevor Lawrence has been there through 3 head coaches now, and he's only just starting to play well. So fair play to Liam Cohen, their head coach, and Lawrence is just, I mean, he's beat up on a bad team only this week, but it kind of is what it is. Yeah, good for him. They're in the playoffs. I think they've got every chance of beating the Bills, because the Bills, outside of Josh Allen and Cook, if you can't run the ball with Cook, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I think that could be a real big challenge for the Bills for sure. Cool. And then my final, just to recap on that game, I know you pretty much covered it, Dave, but the final score on that one was the Titans 7, the Jaguars 41, which is just ridiculous. And I guess credit to the kicker, Cam Little, who's not got a little leg. He's got a big one. He hit another 67-yarder in this game, which is kudos to that man. I'm going with my sign to a record breaker. We've kind of already talked about the game, so I'll just be quick, but it's Myles Garrett. I'm signing Myles Garrett. They beat the Bengals, the Browns, 20-18. Myles Garrett has been on record-breaking watch for the last 4 games. And whilst I'm not particularly happy about how it happened, like you say earlier, Dave, Joe Burrow sort of fell over and kind of gave Myles Garrett the final sack that he needed to get to 23, which breaks the record of Michael Strahan and TJ Watt. But at the same time, to even get anywhere near close is incredibly impressive. I'd have liked to have seen him take it to sort of 25 and get a couple of games like sacks before this game and break it earlier because he's had the extra game, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, teams were actively trying to stop him from getting that. They played the Steelers the week before, and he came to the podium saying that the Steelers were more bothered about trying to keep Aaron Rodgers away from Garrett than they were about winning the game. And guess what? They lost. The Browns have won 2 games back to back. And not saying they're good, but their defense is good. And their defense is good because Myles Garrett is elite. And he breaks the record. And he's a monster. And we've all sung every praise that we've got, I think, about Myles Garrett this year or in years past. You know, he's been phenomenal. He's a top. I mean, he's the best pass rusher in the league. There's no 2 ways about it. He is. He's a specimen. He's a monster of a man. He seems like a good dude. The only problem we've ever had with him is he's greedy. He's stayed in one place and wanted the money instead of the wins.
Go on, Cam. I know how much you love Myles Garrett. Fine, I'll go.
Yeah, no, sorry, I am here. Yeah, I'm sorry, Dom, I can't agree. Yes, the record book fight. The record book is going to show he is this sack leading in a single season record, blah, blah, blah. Cool. That is so nice for him. And his bank account, yes, it's got many pennies in it. You mentioned it earlier. Why do you play football?
Yeah, to win.
Yeah. He is not a winner. He is not a winner. He is going to finish his career with about 10 wins to his name. And didn't he also take his helmet off and take someone's helmet off and twat him around the head with it earlier in the season?
That's why I like it more, actually.
Yeah, so he's maybe not that nice a dude.
Yeah, maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah, I was just waiting for this one, I'm afraid. We've been on this watch for a few weeks now. I was sat there hoping, wishing, praying, not that he would tear an ACL and be injured and be out. No, I wanted him to play the entire season and not make it because you know what? That would have given me so much satisfaction. He's done it. Even that the last game where he got that half a sack, they changed their decision 3 times to end up giving him that half a sack where the quarterback ran pretty much back to his own goal line. Someone else touched him. They called it this, they called it that. Oh no, actually, we're going to give Myles Garrett half a sack for that. The NFL and people have been wanting this all season. Well done, you've got it. Well done, Myles Garrett. Fuck off now because you've got your money, you've got your record. That's all you're going to get.
Packers this year, though, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. We're in the playoffs. They're not.
Does that mean the Titans are better than the Packers? I'm kind of on the fence with it because I don't think any record that's broken 17 games should count. Not count, but I think that when they went,
there should be a line against it. And go,
when they went
old records, new records.
So when they went from 13 games to 15 games, and then 15 to 16, and then now 16 to 17, it should just be a standalone record. So it should just be TJ Watt set the record at 22.5. He actually did it in 15 games, but that was the record over a 17-game season. Now Myles Garrett, so he is the record holder. He's got 23, but it just feels a bit hollow that he's not got like 25 sacks. I think that'd be a better, obviously it would be a better achievement, but I'm kind of with Cam on the fact that he touched that bloke when he got that half sack. He touched him 5 seconds after the other guy had already touched him down. So how did he get half a sack for that? And then this one, Joe Burrow gave it to him 100%. He just collapsed in front of him. And the fact that Joe Burrow was saying, I'm not going to go out my way to not let him get it. How uncompetitive is that? I think Brady would have done that. He'd have fucking thrown the ball away.
Yeah, I mean, look,
He's obviously a great. I'm not trying to.
Yeah,
He's kind
of splitting hairs in the fact that if you go, sorry, go on.
No, I'm saying he's a great rusher, pass rusher.
One of the best ever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he is. I guess I just think there's people I would rather have than him.
Right.
I think he's a bit of a one-trick pony. He takes plays off. He's not necessarily the greatest in the run game because all he's doing is rushing the passer. I do think there are better left and right ends than him in the game. I would pick other people in, but I would still take him.
If we're going to give him a player now, like he isn't the edge rusher I'd want. He's not in the league right now. He's not the one I would choose to join the Packers.
That's absolutely fair. He's absolutely the one I'd choose, but you know, it is what it is. I think when we talk about, like, if you go back, and it's hard to go and talk about this in hypotheticals or in past. Ultimately, for any of those players, TJ Watt, Michael Strahan, you know, if you actually go back and watched every single one of their sacks that led to the 22.5, there'd be a bunch of stuff in there where you'd go, what's that half sack for? How did they get credited that? Like, ultimately they did. And I guess these ones were the ones that were like building up to break the record, you know, the last few that were under the microscope. So they're always going to be the ones where you go, that's not half sack. But like, there'll be a bunch of half sacks that are given throughout the season that we don't even know, haven't even seen. Ultimately, to get anywhere near the record, I just think, you know, he's playing he's a Brown. He chose to be. I've got zero sympathy for him in that, but they are the ass end of the NFL, and at least he's a bright spark, and he's one of the best players. You know, I think he's one of the best edge rushers. Well, he's the best edge rusher I've ever seen, as in actively.
Oh, I don't know. Play. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's your
maybe JJ Watt.
Isn't it? Well, I mean, it's your personal opinion. I can't poo your opinion. I just think there's if you're talking about a pure pass rusher, he's up there. Yeah. But as a defensive player, he's not, because he doesn't,
not defensive player. Edge rusher.
Yeah, but so you're talking about rushing the passer. You're not talking about being
not an outside linebacker, a edge rusher. Left end.
Yeah, but his also job is to stop the run and stuff like that. I'm not saying, I don't think he's elite at doing that kind of stuff. So I think if you're talking about running at the quarterback, yeah, I get it. He's definitely one of the best. But yeah, I don't know. I think that it's opinions.
I can't think of one I can't think of one better top of my head.
At what? No, I don't know.
Because I don't know how many tackles for loss or whatever he's had, but he'll have had a lot.
Yeah, but he's been in the league for a while, and you've got to factor in the fact that he's on defense probably 75% of the game. Because the Browns have been shit forever.
Consideration.
Whereas you look at people like imagine if Hutchinson was on defense 75% of the time, or Micah Parsons. You know, they spend a lot of time. They probably get a lot less snaps. Without looking at it, I might be talking absolute shit, but I mean, ultimately, it's personal opinion. You think he is. Cam thinks he's one of the worst players to ever touch the field. I think he's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. No,
but ultimately, he's set the record now, and it is what it is, isn't it? Whether you do it in 10 games or whether you do it in, and then you get games where didn't he get like 5 sacks in one game?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the people feed off these things, don't they? You know, same as Shaq Barrett, he did the same thing, didn't he?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You kind of have to get those games to be able to get that record. Because it's
unless you consistently get into a game,
it's consistency, isn't it?
Yeah,
well, not even to a game, is it? One a game would get you 17 sacks. So you need a couple of games with 2, but ultimately he's now set the bar, isn't he? I just feel like I wish it'd have been like, because is he gonna win Defensive Player of the Year? Probably yes, because he won that, because he got that record. I don't know who else has been outstanding this year on defense.
Yes, I don't know. I guess we'll talk about that when we talk about end of season awards in the next couple of weeks, where we can give it a bit more thought. But yeah, if you break a record like that, albeit however it's been broke, if we've got some heartache about how it was broke, I don't think the NFL will see it that way. I think they'll see
the record, isn't it? That's how it is.
So like probably
be trying to beat fucking Megatron's yards. You know, it's not like, does it really matter? I guess
no,
because they're going to keep upping the games. Soon there'll be an 18 games. Somebody, you know, it's like with these records, they don't last for that long, do they? This one seems to have stood the test of time a while. To be fair, since 2001?
Yeah, straight.
I know it's been equalled, hasn't it, by TJ Watt, but It's not been broken since 2001, so
Yeah.
it's a 24-year record. So you don't know that. I mean, as these like these offensive linemen get more athletic, and he's obviously a better pass rusher than Michael Strahan was. I know Michael Strahan's been like saying that, I did it in 16 games or whatever, but I think if you put the two side by side, if you put Myles Garrett back in 2000 and just was like a run at the quarterbacks, he'd be destroying folk, wouldn't he? Because the tackles are getting more athletic, the guards are getting more athletic, plays are getting smarter now.
I see it all. I hear it all, and I understand if people don't really give it the credit that they want to give it, understandable. I think it's my personal opinion, and he's broken the record. There we go. He gets the sign. So
your opinion means nothing.
Stick with that one in your pipe, Cam. We'll move over to the NFC, and let's go to our NFC signs. And Cam, coming to you for your sign, please.
My sign is not just this game week, not just this season, but it's a entire career, a legacy.
A homage.
Harrison Smith, man.
Viking.
And
Safety.
Safety.
Okay.
The man has been absolutely impeccable for the Vikings at that position. He's stood as one of the best safeties for so many years now. Looks like he's played his last game this week. He was one interception away from 40 interceptions and 20 sacks in his career. But what that man has just meant to that Vikings defense, that organization, he even took pay cuts to return back for one more season. It's where he wanted to be. You don't get many players that just play for one team nowadays. And he's done it for so long. Absolutely just kudos to him. I mean, this game was, we'll talk about it for maybe 30 seconds because that is all it deserves. This game was a pile of shite. If you watched the red zone, you saw one play of Packers on offense.
That's funny.
One play. And that was to kick a field goal in the 10-yard line with about 20 seconds left. Scott Hansen even came on and went, yep, we're not showing you the Packers on offense. There just hasn't been any. As you mentioned before, we'd already locked up the number 7 seed. We couldn't move. So we are very banged up this season. So we've just gone, well, we're not going to play anybody. Heck, we're not even going to play our second string. We are literally playing a man that walked in off the streets at quarterback. We put up 70 yards of offense total. It was bad. It was real bad. Vikings fans, I think a lot of them wanted to see Justin Jefferson get his 1,000-yard season. He managed to do that. So that's 6 now to start his career.
It's good for him.
But yeah, this game had nothing in it. It was poor.
16-3. 16 to the Vikings, 3 to the Packers. Like you say, last-minute field goal to just put some points on the board from the Packers is not great. But you weren't playing anybody.
Nope.
It was a bye week for your team, which is actually probably the best scenario possible given your state of affairs. And,
we're banged up
playoffs.
hard. It's not ideal. Like I say, we're going into the playoffs. It's not going to be pretty. Would love to do the Bears over. We've beaten once this season. They've beaten us once this season. It's obviously that rivalry. It's a winnable game, but obviously we're going in not in a great place, not with no momentum. But I still think we can do it. It's going to be tough.
Yeah,
it's going to be very, very tough
for sure. We'll talk about that in a minute when we get to the playoff picture and just give it a quick roundup after the slap or sign. But for now, Harrison Smith. I mean, he wasn't even on the stat sheet this week, which means he didn't even have a tackle. But maybe that's
he was on that. He was on that field though.
He was on that field running around headless. But he has been amazing. Unbelievable safety for nearly 2 decades. I'd imagine if he's been playing for 14, 15 years. Don't know. But yeah, fair play. I think he's been that heartbeat of the Vikings defense. It's going to be a big loss for them. And if he's not confirmed that he's retiring, I know his contract's up.
Just the way it looked at the end of that game, they brought him off early to a standing ovation by everybody.
Fair.
You don't do that if you're
probably not. No, probably not. So yeah, good one. Well done to Harrison Smith. He's a bit of a legend at the position. Dave, NFC signage. Where are you going?
I'm signing Colston Loveland from the Bears.
Ooh, new tight end.
Yeah, they lost ultimately. But his touchdown catch in the end zone was great, and he's the second half of the season he's been unbelievable. And I think that at the start, especially when the Colts were on fire, all the talk was about Tyler Warren. He should have been the first tight end taken off the board. Blah blah blah. Colson Loveland's quietly just got through the first half of the season, and the second half of the season he's been great. He's been unbelievable. Yeah, he's been Caleb Williams, sort of like Travis Kelce. Just that safe pair of hands, and he's good run after catch as well. This game, he had 10 receptions, which I think is a career high, 91 yards and a touchdown. And like I say, ultimately they lost the Lions. It was a bit of didn't really mean a lot, the game. The Bears have already secured their place. The Lions couldn't do anything. Yeah. But they do finish with a positive record now, the Lions 9-8, which is abysmal thinking about where they were this time last year.
When the Packers are getting into the playoffs at 9-7-1 as well, and you think about how close that is to either being in or being out.
Yeah, it's a close division now, isn't it? I feel like they had that time where it was the Bears were like the bottom feeders. The Lions have been awful for generations, and they've all kind of turned it around. And it makes it competitive. I mean, it's probably not as good for Cam to watch because you're not absolutely dumping on these teams every single year, but it's nice for a neutral to have like a competitive league, and I wish all the divisions were like that.
Yeah, nice. Colson Loveland is looking great. It was one of those halfway through the season you thought, really, first round pick? And you think, did Ben Johnson, because Ben Johnson went and got him, he went and basically got and went his like version of Sam Laporta, didn't he? But I actually think he'll end up being better. He's just got more top end speed. He's taller, rangier. He's great. He's a really good watch. I think that it was a great pick for what the Bears needed, given what they already had. Like they already had the receivers, they already had that offensive line. So what do you go and do? You go and get a playmaking tight end that's ultimately now overtaken Cole Kmet, who is good. So that 1-2 is fantastic. It's the Bears are Ben Johnson's class, really, really class. He's built a team that is potentially going to be like a hard team to beat now for years to come. They're all young. Caleb's young, Loveland's young, the running backs, I guess they're young. That Manon guy's young. Their offensive line is pretty stout. They've got young receivers, O'Dunn's, that I guess DJ Moore's not that young, but they've just got youth. They could be relevant for a while. Their defense is a bit old.
They're not boring either, which is like, I'm so just sick to death of watching these like little dump off screens and stuff. The Shanahan offense is dull to watch. I don't want to watch that stuff. And that Ben Johnson's not like that. It's the opposite.
Exciting. Yeah, nice. Good. Colson Loveland and the Bears. And obviously, as you mentioned, the Bears lost this week, 16-19 to the Lions. Yeah, shame about the Lions as well. You'd have expected them all day to be in the playoffs with that team. That's another one, really. Not that he's under the microscope, but to not make the playoffs, Dan Campbell, with that team, with that caliber of players, Amon-Ra, Gibbs and Montgomery, Hutchinson, Jameson Williams is in his own right come out and been a good second receiver. Laporta, the offensive line on it is unbelievable.
I think their offensive line is what's let them down this season. Obviously we spoke about it early in the season about both coordinators leaving, and their offensive line. Like Frank Ragnow at center was fantastic for years.
Yeah. And you're right.
They are missing something there.
They are, but at the end of the day, you have to look at it from they had an embarrassment of riches when they got to the NFC Championship, plus the coaches that you can't ride or die forever like that. They've still got Penny Sewell, who is probably the best, or he's top 3 of his position in the NFL at right tackle. They've got very strong, like a strong offensive line. They've drafted well. Every offensive line has its weak points. Ultimately, if what you're saying, not you, what you're saying, but if what people are saying is that the Lions can't win unless they've got the offensive line that they had 2 years ago, then no team can win unless they've got that. You have to find your ways to win. Then it becomes a coaching thing, and that's why I go Dan Campbell's on the hot seat.
The center is a huge one because obviously they touch the ball on every play.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
That handoff, that.
Yeah. But there's a bunch of teams that have made the playoffs that haven't got centres that you know about. We haven't even got one starting centre. but one that
I
shares
think
snaps ultimately.
the Lions are a prime example of what we talked about before with losing your coordinators and just having a head coach who's a good dude.
Yep.
They've looked awful since they lost. I mean, they've lost so many. They're like the Niners, like they just go through them. They all find their way back when they get sacked or whatever. If they can't do a good job as a head coach, but they're definitely missing. Like, well, you look at they've regressed. The Bears have massively improved. What's the denominator there? Ben Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm just saying. I just meant that you can't continually roll with superstar players forever, and you got to make hay whilst the sun shines. And losing your coordinators, plus they've had injuries too, which is on defense massive for them. They had two unbelievable safeties that both got injured, didn't they? Brian Branch and can't remember his name right now, but the other safety, a free safety on the other side, is just they had so many injuries. But who hasn't this year? Every team has had like really, really bad injuries. Cool. My final sign is a little bit self-indulgent, but I'm going to go there anyway, and I think that it's justified. So just hear me out. But I am signing Mike McDonald, the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. And I'm just signing him because this week was the biggest game of the Seahawks and San Francisco 49ers season. It was a win and win the NFC West, win and win the 1 seed in the NFC. It was away from home in Levi's Stadium. And it was a bit of a battle. If you actually watched it, it was a really good game. Seattle moved the ball but just couldn't finish. And on defense, they destroyed the Niners. And this is a Niners team where Brock Purdy in the last 2 weeks has played at an all-world MVP level. If he was to play like that every week, he'd blown the MVP conversation. But also a Niners team that has just found a way to win every single week. And this week they couldn't put up more than 3 points. It's the lowest amount of points that Shanahan has in his 8 years of the Niners has been held to. It was the lowest amount of rushing yards that CMC's had at the Niners. And if you actually go and watch the game, if people are listening, did watch it, you'll know. It was kind of a destruction by the Seahawks. The only reason why it was a tight game is because the Niners defense was also good and managed to stop some 4th downs and some touchdowns by Sam Darnold. Held him to 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 198 yards. We had a rushing touchdown. But to get back on point, Mike McDonald this year, as a head coach, obviously calling plays on defense, has taken the Seahawks to their best record ever, 14-3. That's better record than they had when they had the Legion of Boom, better record than they had when they went to the Super Bowl and won it. And he was kind of written off at the start of the season. And I think that has to be taken into account. There was a lot of people saying that they thought the Seahawks would finish bottom of the division, maybe just above the Cardinals was the sort of conversation. And actually, that absolutely could have been the case because the Niners, the Rams, and the Seahawks have been on fire. So it still could have happened, but because all teams were so good. And I've got to give credit where credit's due to Mike McDonald. Like every team that we've come up against, bar the Buccaneers and maybe one of the Rams games, we've suffocated in some shape or form. We finished this season with the number 1 ranked point defense in the NFL, the least amount of points in the NFL this season, which is an amazing milestone to have at the end of your season, ultimately giving up the least points. But throughout the year, they've just been amazing to watch. Takeaways, defensive touchdowns, no yards given up, stifling teams. The only time we've had problems is when we've had injuries, and we've had big injuries this season, having to deal with Julian Love being out for the majority of the season, Devin Witherspoon out for a long proportion, some front defensive linemen being out, linebackers being out for the season, starting linebackers having to be replaced by people who've just come in and done what needs to be done, and just being a good head coach. And there's an argument. I feel like there's a strong argument that he could be coach of the year. And that's why I'm signing him.
Yeah, you've obviously, your whole thing is around defense for me. I know you've got Jackson Smith and Jigba, who at times this season looked scary as hell. But yeah, your defense has been class. Defense apparently wins championships. So we'll see sort of how that unfolds going into the playoffs. You've got that bye week. You've got the number 1 seed. What they've done against the Niners, very, very impressive. Yeah, can't say too much more apart from I wouldn't have thought it at the start of the season. No way. Not had you second, but
that's the thing. That's why I'm sort of saying it. Is because it's kind of a surprise. It was even a surprise to me. As much as you want to hype your own team, I was thinking second year, new quarterback. A bunch of changes because of trades that we made. You thought maybe not, and he was all part of that. Part of that thing. Getting rid of DK, getting rid of Gino. It was all him and John Schneider. What's the plan? What are we going to do?
That's the crazy thing about the NFL, right? If you can put something together for one season, because it's all just one seasons.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you've put this team together, everyone's clearly just bought into what's being sold. And yeah, your defense has just come up and not allowed teams to do what they want to do, which gives your offense every opportunity to do what it has to do. So this game, like say, putting up 3 points against the Niners, or the Niners putting up 3 points is crazy. McCaffrey couldn't run for 100 yards, 200 yards, catch the ball out of the backfield and run. You just didn't allow him to do it. Your safety looks class.
Yeah, Emanwari, but that's the thing. I think the fact that Emanwari is in the team, and to Dave's point from a minute ago, the Kyle Shanahan type offense, you have to have somebody on the other side who's able to nullify that and take it away and take it out the game. Because if you can nullify that type of offense, this is what ends up happening. 3 points.
They can't do anything.
Yeah, because they can't do anything because your whole offense relies on going sideways and not having the edges set and essentially having mismatches on the outside. But if you can counteract those mismatches, then it's a totally different game. We've come up against teams this year that we've suffocated doing just that. I'm not saying that, we've got the Krypton factor to being able to stop all teams, because we absolutely don't. We got passed all over by Matt Stafford the week before. But I feel like McDonald, and the reason, again, why Coach of the Year maybe, but certainly why he's getting a sign and why I think he's done amazing things, is that he has gone into every game with a slightly different game plan for who he's playing, who he's coming up against, and changed the scheme to do that, instead of just Pete Carroll in it and saying what we do is what we do, and I think that's exciting from a defensive perspective.
Yeah, he's your defense hasn't got any superstars. He's just got a load of really good players, and they all play as a team. Although that safety that you've got, if he can stay healthy, he's going to be unbelievable. He was just running down at everything. Every time they were having like wide receivers try and block him so that they could get McCaffrey or Kittle on like a tight end or a running back screen, and he was just running straight past them or through them to make the tackle, and everything was running downhill. Like whenever I see the Titans playing these little shitty dump off screens, they seem to work because we're playing so soft, but the Seahawks trust their linebackers, corners, safeties to make them tackles, and they all just run it. Everything's done with like aggression, and it was so pleasing to watch, especially because I hate the Niners, the way they play football. It's a real weird thing. Like, when you've got like a Myles Garrett, that you have to stop Myles Garrett and you can kind of stop their defense. You can't do that with your team, because on your offensive line, you've got really good players, but none of them are like that superstar kind of player. So they can kind of all get a bit of the action. And because you've got two really good corners, you can match up well with these like nobodies that the Niners have essentially got a wide receiver. Obviously, it becomes a little bit different when you're playing players like Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams and stuff, because they actually do have their work cut out, because they're equally as good.
Yeah, agreed. And
Stafford's obviously in a different league to Brock Purdy, but I do think they've well outperformed my expectations of them at the start of the season. I thought with like you didn't know really what you were going to get with Sam Darnold. He's done great again. Kenneth Walker looked unbelievable in this game. That was like another massive takeaway. He looked unbelievable. Him and Charbonnet were like a good combo. But the last two games, I think Kenneth Walker's looked really good. So if he can keep that up going into the playoffs, I'm a little bit worried about the offense, because they don't seem to be. That seemed like a game where you should have put 40 points on them. You were all over them. But you just couldn't finish. I know there was that, like, they went for the fourth down, like I don't know what that play was, like a toss to the outside, and it just got blown up straight away. Then on that fourth down they tried. But again, like, you can go for that when you know that your defense can stop them doing anything. It's less of a worry when you know your defense is going to put up a good showing. And I do think he's got. I don't think he's Coach of the Year. I think if some of these teams hadn't to like Vrabel and the Patriots and Cohen with the Jags and whoever else is matey boy at the Bears. I do think they've taken them from being absolutely nobodies to elite teams.
That's true.
But he's, out of all them coaches, he's probably the one that I'd want.
Yeah.
And that includes Ben Johnson. Because I think having a solid defense is what's going to win you. It allows you to make it either allows your offense to be really bland or it allows you to make mistakes. And because you know at some point you're going to turn the ball over, you're going to get a turnover of some description.
Yeah.
So I think it's all to play for in the playoffs. The fact that you've got home field advantage is massive, especially with your stadium, because it's going to be absolutely horrific.
Yeah.
Weather's not going to be good for starters. And like the crowd's obviously crazy for Seattle there. You know, they've got absolutely nothing else going on.
It's been a long while since the Seattle's had a playoff game at home, which, you know, not again, our away record's actually better than our home, which is ironic, and it has been for the last 2 years. But when you're in the playoff scenario, you want the conditions to be right, don't you? So, but yeah. Mike McDonald, and, you know, when we get into the off season, we'll probably talk a little bit more about obviously the Seahawks because they're my boys. But I thought even just this week, the way in which the Seahawks played the Niners was great. Slaps, NFC to finish. Dave?
Yep, I'm slapping the New York Football Giants. My old G-Ben.
Your ex.
My ex. Everyone hates their ex, don't they?
Yeah.
The Giants beat... I feel like everyone I've slapped has either lost or won. I've signed people that have lost and I've slapped people that have won. The Giants are getting it, man. The Giants had the opportunity, and I'm not saying they needed the number one pick, but they had the opportunity to have the number one pick.
Yeah.
As ironically, if the Giants had lost, I don't think the Raiders would have won. I think the Raiders won because they knew that regardless, they had the number one pick. And the Chiefs were obviously not bothered. They're on a 6-game losing streak. They're not bothered at all. The Giants went from the second pick in the draft. So even if you're happy with your quarterback, if you want to keep Jackson Dart, absolutely fair enough. No problem with that whatsoever. You do you. Boo. But having the second pick in the draft when you've got teams like the Jets, the Cardinals, Cleveland, New Orleans, you know, Miami, all these teams that are further down that probably would like a quarterback, willing to trade up, because the Raiders have got to take one. So by you being in front of Arizona was massive if you stayed with the number 2 pick. You could have traded that for whatever you want, you know. And the Giants, they've got a nice defense, you know. They're building their offense. Malik Neighbors, when he comes back, they've got a good wide receiver. And if you believe in your quarterback, them extra picks are nice. They went and smashed the Cowboys, destroyed it, and went from the second pick to the 5th.
Best game of the year.
Yeah, so they've let the Jets need a quarterback. The Cardinals need a quarterback. All in front of them, so they now have got no leverage. Nobody's trading up to 5th to take a quarterback because there'll be none there to take.
Nope.
You know, you're going to miss out on essentially probably two good defensive players or the best wide receiver. I don't think it's a massively heavy wide receiver draft, to be fair. It's the second time they've done it. They did it before, didn't they? When was it last
Daniel
year?
Jones. Daniel
19.
Jones?
No, that was 2019. I think they had like the 5th pick then, but I think it's in recent memory that they've done it. They could have had the number 1 pick and they didn't. Maybe it was last year when the Titans had it.
They were in
I can't remember. But again, they won a meaningless game and saw themselves off, and they've done it again from the 2nd pick to the 5th pick. And they've kept Joe Shane, the GM, obviously sacked Daboll, so they can have a new head coach there. I don't necessarily think Jackson Dart's that guy.
I really don't think he's that guy. I feel like if they'd have had that 2nd round pick, there was a second pick of the draft, or even first. I think we said this on a voice note the other day, Dave, that they probably should go out and get that quarterback and trade Jackson Dart for whatever you might get for him. Alternatively, if you do think he's that guy, what they've done, to your point, is by moving from 2nd to 5th, you might have actually sacrificed a 1st round pick there, hadn't you? In terms of trade value. Like, if you were willing to give up your 2nd round pick by winning that one game, you've probably denied yourself at least next year an additional 1st round pick and possibly more. Like, that's 100%. Like, if you were looking at the stars and you were going, we could have had this year's 2nd pick of the draft or 1st pick of the draft, and we take a quarterback and that's what we've got. Or if we weren't going to take a quarterback, this is what we could have had. We could have traded down to 5th with the Raiders or whoever was going to fall into that spot in the end, had their first round next year, the 5th pick of the draft this year, and probably a 2nd this year as well for that move. And you've just shit the bed.
Yeah, because you would have been in front of the Jets and the Cardinals. The Cardinals have already said that they don't know what they're doing with Kyler Murray.
Yeah, they should get rid of him.
So they've got rid of they've just sacked the head coach. So
breaking news.
Yeah, so Gannon's gone. You'd have been in a prime position then to let the Jets, the Cardinals, and whoever else, Cleveland happy with. I think the Saints probably are happy with that Tyler Shook or whatever. He actually looks all right. But are the Browns happy? I mean, I know they've got Deshaun Watson coming back.
Brilliant.
But what are the Dolphins doing? The Dolphins are at 11. You're telling me they wouldn't trade Tua and a first round pick to move up to 2nd?
Yeah.
To get in front of. My point is there were QB needy teams that were behind them that aren't behind them anymore. They've like, to your point, they've 100% gave up a first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
And more.
Idiots.
And that's what we call integrity, guys.
Yeah.
They played the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
we were saying, this is what we said I said to you in that voice note, that Mike Kafka, who's their interim head coach, he's going to want to be like, do you know what? I want another job after this. I want this team to play hard and win. He's probably gone to the owners and the GM. Yeah, we'll tank. Don't worry about it, mate. And then gone out there being like, fuck no, we're winning this game because I want a job after this somewhere else. Because obviously he's not going to be retained by them, is he?
No.
You know.
There's definitely reasons as to why individually, people might have wanted to win that game, but as an organisation, it was a bit of a donkey move, and they tried to do it. They benched players that would have made them give them more of a chance, and still didn't play them, and then they still won. So yeah, fair one in the Giants getting the slapperoonie, because they are in a little bit of limbo land now, because they don't really have a quarterback that they truly believe in, or at least I don't feel they do, and then they're not in a position to be able to take one of the best ones this year. So what do you do with a drunken sailor? Cam, who are you slapping?
Yeah, I'm going to keep this one quite short, but I'm going to slap the NFC South for
reasons that are obvious.
Being the NFC South, I mean, what was it? The game on Saturday between the Panthers and the Bucks. The Bucks go up early, and that's already done. They stalled out. The Panthers, what was this, finished 14-13, something stupid like that. And the Bucks win the game. Originally, when I thought this game was a win and in scenario, then I found out somehow the Bucks win, they need the Falcons to lose. But yeah, again, this comes back to the point made earlier about, we said earlier in the season, Baker Mayfield is playing like the MVP, and this was just after halfway through the season. They failed to make the playoffs. The Panthers, and all credit to them, have got into the playoffs with 8 wins
and 9 losses.
We're saying
they have a losing record and they're in.
We've spoken about this a number of times, the way that teams with losing records can still make the playoffs. Don't personally agree with it, but man, I thought the Bucks at the very beginning, the first 3 drives looked fantastic, and then weather was bad, get it. But the big thing for me, Bryce Young, jump on that fumble.
Yeah.
Jump on that ball, boy.
Yeah.
Like, your season is on the line. I mean, maybe his Mystic Megan could see what was going to happen. They didn't need to do it, and actually they'd win via freaking...
Nobody knows that.
But, yeah, your season is on the line. I know you're a little dude. Put everything into it. Get on that ball. He just sort of looked at it and let it roll around his feet. Yeah, NFC South needs a lot of blowing up. I mean, let's not even talk about the Falcons, because expectations for this season, what the hell do they do at quarterback next season? Christ knows. Well, their team on paper is freaking disgusting, but their team is ass when it matters.
Yeah, they've fired Raheem Morris, who's their head coach, which Dave said before the podcast was maybe a slightly questionable decision, which I think it might be. But at the same time, when you've got players like Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, whoever else they've got, like, that's a good offense. Their defense isn't particularly great, but their pass rushers especially James Pearce Jr. has done them a lot of good. But look, this division, I understand why you're slapping it, Cam. Carolina Panthers 8-9, Tampa Bay Buccaneers 8-9, Atlanta Falcons 8-9, New Orleans 6-11. 3 teams at the same record. One of them's going into the playoffs because of how other teams played. How other teams played, or how the seeding of the teams that they've beaten versus whatever. It's all crud, absolutely crud. And I'm jumping on the back of it because I'm actually slapping the head coach of the Buccaneers, Todd Bowles, because since a third of the way into the season, they've just looked like they've just ran out of gas. Felt like they came out the gate like a racehorse that gives it everything and is like 100 meters ahead, going into the final stretch, and then just gasses out. And their team isn't built for it. They've got old people in their team, like Levante David's on his last legs. Mike Evans has had every injury known to man. Both hamstrings are made out of freaking dental floss at this point. You've got Godwin, who can't stay healthy. Their offensive line's been a carousel of injuries. Baker Mayfield's been hurt. They're all just slowly plodding towards retirement, or a lot of them are. And the only bright sparks, at the start of the season, was that Emeka Ibuka. You think, oh my God, he kind of slowed down massively towards the end of the season. There'd be probably a bunch of rookie receivers that I'd probably put in there ahead of him now. Right now, anyway, at least he's definitely going to be a good player. You can see that. But Todd Bowles, with the players that he's got, the experience on the team, been to a Super Bowl, most of the players are very good. To allow yourself to be beaten by the Panthers and let the Falcons dictate what's happening it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's like that league is just ultimately embarrassing. And I feel like Todd Bowles, again, on the coattails of the Buccaneers being relevant, the Buccaneers being this hyped franchise since Tom Brady was there and then left, is just not what you need to see. We've literally seen head coaches whilst we've sat on this podcast now be fired. Jonathan Gannon, Dave mentioned Pete Carroll. The Browns have fired their head coach. The Falcons have fired their head coach. Bunch of people getting let go. And I feel like Todd Bowles should also be. He probably doesn't deserve it. He's probably one of those that's like a bit of a John Harbaugh or whatever. He's been good, so let's keep him. But he doesn't inspire me anymore. He doesn't seem like a coach that inspires. And in a division that's that poor, and it is, even if teams have slightly improved like the Panthers, but in a division that's that poor, to not be able to dominate it with the players that they have and the team that they have, I think that is poor.
Agreed.
Imagine the Niners or the Rams or the Seahawks or the Packers or the Lions in that division. It would be done. You'd have a clear winner at fucking 14 wins. Game over.
Yeah, it's arguable that the Saints were the better team going in towards the season, and how bad.
True, they looked better. They played better as a team. How many games did they win on the bounce before they lost this last one? 3 or 4?
A few, yeah.
Yeah, and that Tyler Shuck, like you said, Dave, I actually think that they will roll with him next season.
Oh,
because what's the point in? I don't know if he's the guy, but what's the point in not giving him a proper shot? Because he didn't get a full season, did he? It was that Spencer Rattler before he came in. You may as well try and put some things around him using the picks that you've got and see what he's got. And if not, then next year's your year for revamping a quarterback. But yeah, you're right. I think they look like the more exciting team out of all 4 of them. Good. Is that it? I think it is. I think we've done. We have finished Slap or Sign. Nice one, guys. I'm not going to recap any of the games just because we've covered most, and if we haven't covered them, they were either irrelevant or trash. So for the listeners out there, if you follow a team that we've not covered, it's because it's probably not worth it. So we're going to skip ahead and we're going to just talk about playoffs, and then we'll go home. And I just want to talk about the playoff picture. Obviously, we've got the Broncos, who won, who have cemented themselves with the number 1 seed in the AFC. We've got the Seattle Seahawks, who won and cemented themselves with the number 1 seed in the NFC, which leaves wildcard round. And the AFC teams that have gone through into the playoffs are the Steelers, the Texans, the Patriots, the Chargers, the Jaguars, and the Bills. And in the NFC, the Rams, the Panthers, the Packers, the Bears, the Eagles, and the San Francisco 49ers. And they're all playing this weekend. It's going to be a blaster of a playoff week. I think the games start on Saturday and play across Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And I'm here for it. Absolutely. But the first game that we're going to be treated to, or tret to, as Dave would say, we're going to be tret to the Rams taking on the Panthers at the Bank of America Stadium. So the Panthers somehow have also, with their win of the division, got a home field advantage. They have beat the Rams once this year. Just a quick breakdown of that game, guys. Panthers-Rams, is it even a question? Can the Rams overcome the Panthers, or can the Panthers, like it nice, they do it twice?
There's zero chance, and by zero chance I mean an actual chance, because they are playing each other, but zero chance that the Rams do not dump all over the Panthers. That's my official prediction. As DX would say, suck it.
Yeah, I think for the better matchups in the later rounds, the Rams need to win this one. The Rams, for me, technically still the favourites. They're the team that, for me, can go on and win the NFC. I just think what Matt Stafford can do, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, they've got a run game. That offense is unquestionable. They've got a very good defense, and Sean McVay at coach is class. Without a question, they need to be winning this game.
Yeah, I third that motion. I can't see a world in which the Panthers play the way that they've been playing over the last few weeks and have any kind of a sniff against the Rams. Obviously, anything can happen, but we're not here for that, the edge of the sword type of stuff. We're here to make a definitive decision, and I agree. I can't see the Panthers winning. I think the Rams will dump all over them, move into the next stage of the playoffs, and be a real problem for anybody that they play. As the Seahawks obviously having a bye week and home field, the Rams are the team that I would be fearing the most playing out of anybody else in the NFC right now. They would be the team that gives me the most worry by far. Okay, the following game is the Packers. Cam, go Pack, go cheesy cheeses at Soldier Field.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I think we're going to go home. Is unfortunately the way I see this one going. I think we are. Look.
Fighting talk, Cam. Come on, it's your team.
We can certainly do it. It is going to be close. Ben Johnson clearly hates the Packers and Matt LaFleur, and I would love to win this one. Actually, I would happily win this one and lose the next game, and go, okay, cool. Do you know what?
You're meant
to be put out by the Bears would hurt, but I don't know. We're not in a good place. We are really not. I know it comes down to a one-on-one game, but I just say,
I mean,
our key players on defense, like the pressure up front, isn't there. Obviously, we've got no Parsons. That's a given. Devontae Wyatt is out. That is a lot of pressure. For me, we need to see an absolute elite game from our linebackers. We need to see an incredible game from our linebackers. What I'm hoping for is Trayvon Diggs shows up with a freaking pick six and takes it down to the house. But we're not.
I saw you claim him. Yeah, I saw you claim.
Yeah, we're not even going to talk about that. Like,
have they even said he'll play?
No,
because I don't know if he's even healthy. But I mean,
him unhealthy is better than what we've got at corner. That's the issue. Our secondary is.
But your secondary is not beat up, is it? Your secondary is the secondary that you've been playing with all season.
But the difference is we've got no pressure up front now.
You've got Rashawn Gary. He was your number one pass rush before Parsons came in, so it's not like
he's not put up a sack since week 7.
It's poor.
Rashawn Gary is going to be his swan song.
I get it. Losing Micah Parsons is losing your X factor, but I feel like
losing Micah
pleading a bit of poverty when actually
it's Micah Parsons and Devontae Wyatt from that line. It's tough. Lucas Van Ness only came back last game.
So you've got back. You got Lucas Van Ness back. Yeah, first round pick.
We'll see, but yeah, I unfortunately think
I'm just winding you up, Cam. It's just that every team's got injuries.
Absolutely. Our injuries are not good. I get that. It's can we stop the run? They ran all over us last time. I mean, don't get me wrong. We only played them at Soldier Field three weeks ago, whatever it was, and they managed to beat us in overtime after receiving an onside kick.
Yeah.
So don't worry, and that was with Malik Willis in at quarterback. Like, we have a shot. I just think it's going to be tough.
Fair play. Prediction? Packers. Come on, you got to say it.
I'm going to say Packers 21-17.
All right. Dave, don't need a score, but who you got? The Bears or the Cheesies?
I think the Bears.
Yeah.
If I was a betting man, which I am, so I bet the Bears.
I think it's going to be tight, but I think as much as I just poo-pooed all these injuries to Camo, I'm only joking. I feel like the injuries are actually going to play probably the biggest part in this one. And yeah, not being able to stop the run with Wyatt and Parsons, who's a great run stopper, I think is going to be a problem against this team that loves to fricking run the ball. And when they're not running the ball, they're creating huge holes downfield for Loveland and their receivers. And when you played them last, as much as it was Malik Willis, they also didn't have Luther Burden or Roma Dunze when they played you. They've got these guys back now. It could be a problem. So I would say, think it'll be tight. Jordan Love's not somebody you really want to necessarily count out because he's done a lot of special things this season. But I think the Bears might just have it. And I think it might just come down to being at home, the couple of injuries that they've got in place. I think
turnovers is what's going to cost us.
Okay.
I think the Bears will take the ball away.
Could be that. Next game, we'll speed through the next, considering that's your team now done, Camo. Next one is Bills Jaguars. I think the Bills do it. I'm just going to say it. I think it's going to be a tough sledding. I think it's a Josh Allen game. I think the Bills do it.
I don't think it's going to be a good watch, this one.
Yeah.
I think the Bills will do it. I think it will be a Josh Allen doing everything with his legs and not a lot else happening. But yeah, I think it's going to be a boring watch, this bet, unfortunately.
Thing is, the way the Jags are built, they're kind of almost built quite nicely to stop Josh Allen. They can set the edge. They've got really dynamic linebackers. I think it's going to be hard for Josh Allen to sort of scramble and run around and get into the secondary personally. But I don't know. I've just got a feeling like if Josh Allen can't beat the Jags, that's a real problem. Like if Mahomes, Burrow and Lamar Jackson are not in the AFC playoffs and he can't find his way at least to the AFC Championship, I think that speaks a lot for him and for the Bills, and that they need to take a proper good hard look at what they've got going on. Dave?
The Bills are my team now, so in the playoffs, they're not permanently my team, but they are for the playoffs, so Bills will win.
Nice. Love it.
Go Bills.
Go Bills Mafia.
And I'm going to put somebody through a table at the Super Bowl party if you get that. Probably Zach, because he's a Jags fan.
That would be very fitting. Wear some padded clothes, Zach, if the Bills are in the Super Bowl. Next game is Niners-Eagles. Oof, I feel like this is a good game. This is a good game on paper. It's the NFC Championship that once was. What are we going to get here? Dave, give me yours.
I think the Niners are going to do it. The Eagles have not looked eagerly at all this year. They've looked bad. Bad for them, not bad. Titans bad, but they've looked bad for them. Saquon's not been the Saquon that he was last year. He's not been able to find the holes. He's not had nowhere near the explosive plays that he had last year. I guess it all rests on Jalen Hurts, doesn't it? If he can throw the ball down the field and can find these wide receivers, then they might make a game of it. I just think that the Niners just play that run game so well. I don't think the Eagles have got the corners to deal with it. Honestly, don't. So I think it'll be close, but I think the Niners, I think they're actually quite well matched. I think they're quite similar teams, but I think the Niners will just out-Niner them. Unless Jalen Hurts absolutely turns up.
Yeah.
Which he can do.
He can, yeah.
In the biggest
it's like
spot,
1 out of 4 games in it where he's just unbelievable. And then he'll have 4 games where he'll pass for 30 yards and a half.
The 2 best games he's ever played have been in Super Bowls, basically. Like, that's or at least from my perspective. I think the Niners as well, Dave. If I forget about them just recently playing the Seahawks, and obviously divisional team, they know each other well, ways to play. The Niners have been, clearly by their record, dominating. They've also more recently been on a full-on hot streak, scoring touchdowns for fun with Purdy. And the fact that we stopped him might be a little bit of luck as well as obviously great scheme or whatever, but not every team can stop them. And I don't think the Eagles defense is necessarily built to be able to do that properly because they don't have the secondary that you necessarily need, albeit it's quite good. And the Niners can just suck the life out of the clock, as can the Eagles. I don't know, it's a tough one. But I think just on form, it's the Niners for me.
I think they play the same game. It's all going to come down to McCaffrey or Barkley and Kittle and got it.
Yeah.
And I think the Niners do it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. You got the Niners as well then, Cam?
Indeed.
Nice. Okay, shuffling through. 2 more. Chargers, Patriots. I'll start. I can happily start this one. I'm going to say the Chargers. I feel like the Patriots come unstuck here a little bit. Because the Patriots' strength is not their pass rush. They've got a strong fundamental defense, which I think, given the opportunity, being in the postseason, I feel like Herbert is going to try and do a bit of a Josh Allen scenario, put the team on his back. And I think that might be a little bit overwhelming for the Patriots if they can get their receivers going, if they can get Keenan Allen going and Quentin Johnson and Lad McConkey, they could maybe open them up. Their run game, getting what's his name that they've got? Hampton, get Hampton going again with who they've got back healthy will be helpful. It's just their offensive line sucks, doesn't it? But with Herbert and a good passing game and a pretty solid Chargers defense, because it is, I think they're number 1 against the rush in the AFC is the Chargers.
Matches up.
Could be wrong, but they're definitely top 3. At least 2 weeks ago, they were number 1 against the rush, which does match up nicely against the Patriots. So, long story short, I'm going Chargers. I think they prove that they can hang with better teams and prove that the Patriots are maybe a year or 2 away.
Yeah, I've got Derwin James coming up doing something special in this one, and Chargers winning it.
Nice. Dave?
The Patriots are going to destroy them.
Yeah?
Yep.
I like it. Bold move.
I think
Who are you hanging your hat on? Vrabel?
No, I just think that Herbert's been up and down all year. I don't think he particularly ended the year very well. And the Patriots have been consistent all year.
They have, yeah.
I think the Patriots all control the game. I can't see where the Chargers are better than the Patriots.
Yeah, fair. That's absolutely fair. I feel like, weirdly, if the Patriots approach this game like it's not a playoff game, like, you know, if the moment doesn't become too big and they just play the same way that they've been playing this season, then they could absolutely do the Chargers over. I feel just like the moment might be a little big for them, considering the caliber they've been playing recently. But yeah, cool. We've got two for the Chargers, 1 for the Pats. It's nice. Splits the room a little bit. And then last but certainly not least, we got the Texans versus the Steelers. Dave, coming to you first.
I think that the Texans win. I think their defensive pressure is going to be too much. Rodgers doesn't tend to throw interceptions, but when he does, he generally throws a bunch of them. I think he's going to get harassed so much that the game's going to get out of hand. I just don't see where the Steelers are better than the Texans. Even with DK back, I think Stingley can easily tie him up. I don't think they've got. I think the Steelers are 1 and done.
I agree, and I actually think it'll be a kind of I don't know if it could be a destruction in the fact that I don't think the Texans will put up a whole load of points, but I don't think that the Steelers will put up like any. I feel like they could be really, really locked out in this one. I think the ability and the agility of the Texans defense will engulf Aaron Rodgers. He isn't the most mobile. Their offensive line has given up quite a lot recently. Danielle Hunter is on another level at the moment, as is Anderson Jr. And yeah, they've got amazing secondary, amazing linebackers. Like, Texans defense is awful in the best way possible. It's just horrible to come up against. And I don't think the Steelers have got it in them. Cam?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Rodgers matches up well against this defense. So I think their defense is just going to terrorize him. He's going to be on his back a lot, and I think that will frustrate him, which will, to Dave's point, lead to some interceptions. Or we'll see Marty, Aaron Rodgers, saying, "Why have you not caught that? Why have you not done this?" When actually he's throwing in desperation because he's about to get sacked again.
Yeah, agreed. And I hope we don't see Marty Aaron Rodgers. If it's going to be his last game in the NFL, I hope he goes out with some dignity.
I hope it's a freaking turns into an offensive match and they end up slinging it. And I think for later rounds, the Texans need to go through because I think their defense and they're just a better team. I would like to see sort of some magic out of Aaron Rodgers one last time.
Nice. Good stuff. And that's it. That is all of the playoff games. That's a wrap. Week 18, regular season finale is done. It's over. The playoffs are here. So massive thank you to everybody who has listened all season long to the regular season. We appreciate every listen, download, every message. And now it's time for the best football of the year, playoff football. Time for another team to stamp their name on the Lombardi. Create a legacy. Make sure you're following us at In the End Zone UK. Until next time, football is life. Thanks for joining, boys.
Peace.
Laters.
Catch me balling like I'm in that end zone. I got my homies in the no new friend zone. You know, making plays that land us in the end zone. Coming in clutch, you can catch me in the end zone. End zone.